Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of History After Hours. My name is Kevin Pumphrey, and this is a very special episode because on the panel tonight we have Miss Emily Diedrich, Mr. Ron Franklin, and Mr. Lewis Jolly, all history teachers at Lakeside High School. But we also have a very special returning champion, Mr. Jeremy Nixon, former government teacher at Lakeside and now practicing lawyer. So it was great to see him again, great to have him back on the podcast. We had a great time. We had a room full of students live at Collective Coffee. We are recording this on March the 7th, 2024. There was a lot of great questions asked and we had fun. So we hope you enjoy this podcast. Okay, this is History After Hours. It is March the 7th at Collective Coffee, and welcome to the show. We got a bunch of students here. We've got a large panel. There's at least 5 of us up here. The goal is to get the entire Lakeside staff wrapped around the room. We all have microphones, and we talk all day anyway. So, with that being said, ask the questions, and we'll do our best to keep it to a tight answer.
Okay.
My name is Joshua Weed, and I was wondering, throughout high school and college, what was your favorite class, and would you take it again?
Wait, jump in there, D.
Me go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You're the only one that remembers college.
Yeah,
so.
you're the closest to that.
Well, mine's high school would be my favorite class, and I guess it's changed names over time, but right now it's FACS, Family and Consumer Sciences, was home ec, that kind of stuff.
History?
I didn't have the best history teachers. If I had this group of history teachers, I probably would have liked it a little bit better.
Oh, that is a smooth answer.
That was a
I like
great
that.
answer.
Okay, so now what was appealing about your nothing? I'm not knocking family and consumer science, but why is that your answer?
I really enjoy cooking, and so I did a completer's course in food production. So by the time I graduated high school, I was certified to work in any kitchen in the state.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Collective, you hearing this? Like, don't try to steal her from us now.
Where's our snacks?
I make y'all Christmas goodies every year.
That is true. All right, go, Jelly.
Mine was 11th high school, 11th grade English. I know, weird, right? You would think it'd be some PE course or something or athletics week, but it was 11th grade English. The teacher's name was Vicky Glover. Man, she just made it great. We talked about literature. We talked about music. Everything we did was just so. She just made it so fun, and she was so passionate, and she just drew it out of you. Just always just pushing you to be better. There was no such thing as AP or anything at that point. So it was just pushy, bringing in pop culture, pop literature, older stuff as well. But man, just a great experience.
What grade?
11th grade.
11th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I think mine was law school, which is odd because I freaking hated law school. But the legislative clinic, actually getting to write laws for the first time and go and work with the Mississippi legislature and the Mississippi Supreme Court on changing their rules. That was the first time I felt like I could actually, do something important or make a difference in something. So I would do that again in a heartbeat.
You're suggesting that things do change in Mississippi?
No, our bill lost in dramatic fashion. In fact. But it was fun. It was about payday lending.
Okay, just make sure it wasn't Dodd.
Oh God, no.
Okay.
No.
Sports, any academic subject I didn't like. Although I will say, sometimes when you're in it in high school, your least favorite subject, if you learn a lot, will become important later. So I had a hard math class that I couldn't stand. Every day I couldn't stand it, but the teacher made me learn, and then I appreciated it years later. I thought I really did learn a lot. So sometimes like you said, I hated law school. I can't believe I liked it, but now you see how useful it could be. So, but sports, of course.
I had a 5th grade teacher named Betty Henderson who hooked my attention on history because she had a great something grandfather who was a soldier in the Civil War who had been imprisoned in one of the major camps. I don't remember which one it was. I don't think it was Andersonville, but he was imprisoned. And she read to us from his diary. And it was dark. And they were like, I said, we're little fifth graders, man. And we're like, what the hell is this? And I remember that they ate a cat. They caught this mangy cat and they ate it. And they were like eating grass and stuff to try to survive. And she had us hooked, dude. Like we were all little fifth graders, like, doop, like eyes wide, leaning forward, you know. And I just remember that moment so much. And I don't, but history generally, weirdly enough, like later on, kind of like you were saying, like I didn't really have spectacular teachers throughout high school, whatever. But like I said, I still remember that woman out, and wherever she is, man, love you.
I'm so glad one of us said history.
She got our yeah, right. She got our attention, and that was cool, right? Because she told us real. It wasn't just the stuff in the book, right? Man and it was like a real story about a real person, and we were enthralled. So.
Hi, my name's Emma Gross. And I'm Rebecca. We have a joint question. So, as some of you may know, me and Rebecca were conceived in a lab.
We're lab babies.
And so we wanted to know your thoughts on the bill in Alabama that is going to eradicate our kind.
Our kind.
Yeah. You mean the Alabama Supreme Court ruling, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Alabama legislature passed a law to kind of ease some pressure on that recently. So, yeah, I think you and your kind, I'm using that in quotes since you said it, are safe in Alabama for now. But, I mean, there is peril.
Well, back up for the people who are going to listen to this later on. Briefly, lawman, explain what's going on.
Yeah, so what the Alabama Supreme Court did was basically say that for purposes of the Alabama Constitution at least, that citizenship personhood begins at conception, and it gave essentially extended all rights to an Alabama citizen at conception, which in vitro fertilization, fertilized eggs became citizens. And so it was potentially... the IVF clinics were seeking, they wanted legislation faster, but they could have been punished, right? If, fertilized embryos were damaged, if they were not used, I don't know the correct terminology to put that in.
If they were found to be
non-viable, yeah.
The parents get to decide if they're kept or not.
Yeah, okay, so doesn't this correct me if I'm wrong, stem from a case where a couple went through IVF treatment, and then something happened.
Workers accidentally
destroyed, yeah.
And they sued because
seeking monetary damages.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's where it stemmed.
And the Alabama Supreme Court, the Chief Justice, basically said that it's an offense to God because everyone is created in God's image from conception. And so there was this very fundamentalist Christian decision that came out that we haven't seen in jurisprudence.
Well, okay,
really
that's
long
freaking
time.
tricky because they were like, well, I'm not quite quoting, but to take a life is offensive to God or something, while they're busy getting ready to kill another guy. Yeah. Using nitrogen, God doesn't care about that. I guess he didn't take that into consideration. Well, I don't know. It's such a freaking fickle thing for them to be going down that path. That's a can of worms. Yes?
The only positive thing is it's actually been a rare moment in the last few years where it's been kind of a bipartisan movement to say we have maybe gone a little too far. We need to fix this.
Not everybody, though.
Yeah, not everybody, but you're maybe seeing a little bit of return from the brink of crazy.
So I didn't understand the attack on IVF to begin with, but then I heard, and I want to say it was a congressman from some freaking where, I don't even know, and he said in his speech to somebody, I don't know, that the problem that they ended up having. Okay, let me back up, because my confusion was, you want more kids, kill IVF treatments across the board. That they were upset that the fertilized eggs did not happen through conjugal visits, meaning they weren't conceived through a sexual act. And so therefore, it was immoral. And so I was like, that's what they're talking about, and that's why they're mad about all this. And so I don't know where it's going from here, but because I was confused on that, but that's the clarification, basically. So, but again, we hope you're safe, and I mean, I know you guys are, but I hope that we'll see where it goes. Are other states thinking about that too, or
is it not just the politics of this moment? I mean, that's driving all of this. It's people trying to push that side so hard that it's politically driven, I assume, just like it was a lot of when the radio really came onto the scene in the 20s and 30s, a lot of crazy stuff occurred, as we all know. Today we're talking about eugenics and how popular that got. If you don't know what that is, you can look that up on your own. But then eventually things got better. Now, it might have taken World War II to kind of shake everybody up, and I don't want that to happen. But I do think in this moment, because of the internet and social media, I think, and other, of course, factors, it's the politics of the moment, just trying to get your side a win whenever you can.
But the scary thing is in the eugenics part, I'm not going to try to get too far in the weeds, but there's a case, Buck versus Bell, that's never been overturned at the Supreme Court that says we can sterilize imbeciles.
Right.
Meaning that if you are adjudicated to be an imbecile, that we can just sterilize you because, quote, 3 generations of imbeciles was enough, and that was Oliver Wendell Holmes.
By the way, that's a technical term he's using, not a slur.
Yeah, imbecile was a legal
What's
definition.
the threshold to determine who's an imbecile and who's
At
not?
the time, it was anyone who could not self-sustain, take care of themselves, have to be
So the elderly?
elderly, disabled, yes. And the Third Reich used Buck versus Bell in sort of pushing
The Nazis
eugenic.
used our
Yes, they did.
legislation to... Oh, my.
They used
And-
our propaganda in World War I as well
Yes,
as
they did.
an example for their propaganda in World War II.
So, yeah. I mean,
Not to say that we're responsible for that.
right. Just
Okay.
All caveats aside. Okay, next.
I'm Merrick Lukens. Nixon, given that you've returned to being a lawyer, would you rather defend a case you know you can win, however you know your client is completely in the wrong, or defend a case you know you will lose, however your client is in the right?
I'm obligated to do both, is the answer to that. Because when you take a case and when you take your oath as an attorney, especially if you're assigned as a public defender, you don't get a choice. You have to do your absolute best. And like everyone has the right to an attorney, but you don't have a right to a good attorney. And so that's something we talk about all the time, or I used to talk about all the time, that if you were going to be an attorney, you take that oath, you do your best no matter what, because at the end of the day, it's your client, not you. So, look, I mean, I've worked for the state in several positions, and there are times I've had to take positions that I do not agree with, but it's my job to do it. So,
As an attorney who's been assigned to a case, let's say, if you have a major problem with what's going on, can you back yourself out of that, or are you just obligated to go because they told you to?
it really depends on the circumstance. If you are like a criminal defense lawyer and you're assigned to it, and it's one of those things where they are indigent, don't have an attorney, then chances are you're stuck with it. You can ask the judge to reassign it. He doesn't have to. She doesn't have to.
If they say no, you're
stuck with it.
There you go. Buckle up. Yeah.
But I mean, not that this is good news, but to get ineffective assistance of counsel, there have been lawyers who went to sleep during a murder trial. There was an attorney in Nevada who went in the courtroom bathroom and did illegal substances and came back out, and none of that mattered. The courts all found that they had good counsel. So, I mean, if you really just don't want to defend something, there are ways to do it. I'm not advocating that, by the way.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Hi, my name is Jacob Moss, and what are y'all's thoughts on the accusations that were imposed on Michael Jackson, specifically that he was a pedophile?
I see a
what is in the
theme
water
developing
tonight?
here.
This or the Jesus juice is moving around the room.
Yeah, is that what he called it?
This Jesus juice, yes, he got.
Are you asking us if we think that it's true that he was a pedophile? Is that what you're asking?
Whether it was true or just y'all's thoughts on the case or allegations.
It's true that there were
anything.
allegations.
I don't know, was there ever substantial proof? Innocent until proven guilty. Obviously, there was, as they say, a lot of smoke. Where there's a lot of smoke, there's fire. There was a lot of allegations. There was a lot of rumors. There was a lot of whispers. But I don't know that there was any substantial evidence.
Was there ever a civil lawsuit or anything? I just can't remember.
They had a case, and apparently the prosecutors believed that there was a lot of evidence to convict him. However, they eventually concluded that there wasn't enough substantial evidence. However, there are still questions of whether he actually did it or not.
I mean, I haven't looked at the case. I honestly don't know. The thing I can say about it is prosecutorial discretion is probably one of the most important things that you don't know about, that your prosecutor, whether they're appointed or elected or however the state does it, has the power to decide whether to bring those charges or not. And that is perhaps one of the most powerful positions in all of the judicial realm, because to decide not to prosecute someone is insanely powerful and can impact the entire community, country, world. So, I mean, I don't know.
They did depositions of these kids, right? I mean, didn't lawyers interview them and they were preparing for trial, I think, if I remember that right. But
I don't know.
But I don't know. Yeah, so he's not helping himself by surrounding himself with children at his Neverland playground, and sleeping in the same room with the kids, and but can we verify one way or the other? Like, no.
I mean,
there were accusations, but that doesn't automatically mean, you'd have to play that out in court.
So there are two musicians that always come to my mind when you talk about musicians. It's Elvis and Michael Jackson. Both of them had to go through things that no one else has. And Michael Jackson specifically being a star at the age of 7 or 8. Think what you were doing at 7 or 8. And he was in front of millions of people dancing and singing, and his father was apparently abusive and all. He was obviously had mental issues that we would now be able to diagnose and help and treat and all that they probably couldn't in the 70s, or did they even care in the 80s. A bigger thing that we actually could talk about is, should you hold the art accountable because of the artist's personal life? I mean, you don't have to go back far in the Renaissance and dig into Michelangelo's personal life or some of those Renaissance painters and find a lot of skeletons in the closet. Can you still appreciate and love the art? Can we still listen to Billie Jean and be okay with it? That's something that everybody kind of has to make their own personal choice depending on how you feel about that. How bad is the accusations? What do we actually know? And can you appreciate art just alone, forget about who created it? I think that's something that we all should kind of think about a little bit.
A name that ties in with that too, that's I think another good example would be like Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was considered a cultural icon. He's a civil rights advocate. He broke color barriers across multiple platforms. One of the funniest, most successful comedians out there. And then you find out that he was doing some pretty dastardly things behind the scenes. He was raping people using narcotics to not just seduce but subdue women, and then they would wake up and go, well, I guess that was fun, but then later on they come back with allegations that are proven in court, and he goes to prison. So do you then go, well, can't listen to Bill Cosby anymore? That guy's not funny because what he did wasn't funny. What he did was horrendous. But the separation then of this work versus that guy, but I think that we assume that we understand who celebrities are because we see them so often. You feel some sort of personal connection with them. Maybe I know that person. Oh, they would never. Human beings are flawed, and I'm not trying to make excuses for Bill Cosby, but at the same time,
it's slightly different because Bill Cosby, the image he portrayed was a wholesome family.
I get that.
And comedy, when you hear his comedy, it's wholesome and family, and so it's case by case.
So
right?
I get why people would be.
Yeah.
Shocked.
I got you.
Because there was a time in the 80s where he was labeled as America's dad. The Cosby Show was the top show on the air for like close to, a decade maybe? And he was a superstar, and he'd already been a superstar for a long time. But then you find out that he's this monster behind the scenes,
Have we changed the way we have treated subjects like this in our current time with the internet, social media, the term cancel culture, all that. We judge them in the court of public opinion. Would Elvis have been able to live his life and some of the things he went through in today's time? Would Michael Jackson, Bill Cosby kind of came from the Me Too movement, wasn't it? That it kind of brought all that light. That was driven. If it wasn't for that movement, he would have escaped all that because he was pre-internet age as a celebrity. Yep. And now we treat it. Kanye West. Maybe a good example. Yeah. He is now ostracized, persona non grata, across all media platforms now. Mm-hmm. Would that have been Michael Jackson with those accusations? Yeah, maybe. Is it just a victim of the times? Can you separate Kanye from his statements?
Well, but back to my point though, do people think that they know people? And so because celebrities
where are my Swifties at? You think you know her, but wait a second.
You don't know what
you don't know her.
Right. Yeah, but the persona that they project is part of an image that's created for marketing. That's part of why they're successful. But that doesn't mean that you know the person behind that facade. Maybe they're good people, maybe they aren't. So then there's this shock when the mask is pulled off and you realize there's be horrendous things. He was right to be punished and sent to jail. I get that, but that doesn't go back and you have to like get rid of everything because of
Yeah.
that. You know what I'm saying? That's
why I think
tricky.
it's healthier to get yourself attached to the art, the music. Let that move you. Don't let the human being behind it be such a personal connection, because all humans will fail you. But the art, you can be in love with that forever, you know? Yeah, but once again, it's case by case.
Well, the Michael Jackson thing was a little bit before my time. That's
Oh,
why I
come
wasn't,
on.
I wasn't saying
Here's
anything.
it, is that you cannot keep using that as an excuse.
What about
I
Justin
feel like
Bieber?
it's a valid
Remember him?
excuse. Yeah, I
Do
know
you
Justin
still
Bieber.
listen to Kanye?
No, you gotta have.
No, I never listened to Kanye either.
Well, okay. Do you have an example that follows along with what we're saying?
Of like
Since-
cancel
from
culture?
But it's like, since you have the youthful view.
I feel like the most recent thing I could think of music related to like just how an artist treated people would be like the Travis Scott thing, where a bunch of people got like crushed in his crowds
Okay.
at some concert, and so people tried canceling him. But
Was it at his instigation they got trampled? What happened? I don't know that I've heard this.
I think his concerts just tend to be a little bit more riot-ish,
Oh.
and so it got out of hand, and then
Okay.
he didn't call attention to the situation.
Okay.
And so there's been a really big movement now for at concerts, like if an artist sees something happening in the crowd, they will like stop what they're doing and call for a medical
I've heard that.
or something like that.
So let's talk about cancel culture for just a second. That's a weird phenomenon because we cancel you. Well, what if I turn around and cancel your cancellation? Now what? You know, it's like way back in the day when the church would excommunicate people. I excommunicate you. I don't care. So now what? You know, I mean, why is this suddenly a phenomenon, you wonder? Is it because of the internet and all that jazz, and we're not going to follow you anymore, but then...
Well, I
I
think
don't know.
normal people now have the ability to cancel not just governments and people in power.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And it's the opposite of innocent till proven guilty.
Yeah.
An accusation can end your career. But once again, there's a level to this, right? You can be too big to cancel. You know, you can say whatever you want to about certain people, but they're just too big. Their platform's too big. They have too big of a following that's never going to leave them.
Like they could shoot someone in the middle of...
That, there's plenty of examples. Joe Rogan, Elon Musk. I mean, they're going to have their fans, their people, no matter pretty much what they say. But then there's the little people that it doesn't matter. There's you can't cancel them because, they're too small to cancel. It's those people in the middle that they could leave, people could leave them in their audience. And there's a lot of probably victims that started to have a career and it was just taken away by one accusation that might not have ever been true and they can never recover. So it is a phenomenon of the power that a mob can give to somebody on the come up,
Darkness. This whole thing's been dark so far. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, come on up.
Hi, I'm Morgan, and I was wondering if y'all could have any class pet, what would it be and why?
I'm going to go with the easy answer, and I want a dog. I just want to bring my dog to school, actually.
What is your dog?
I have a mini Aussie Doodle, which is Australian Shepherd Poodle mix.
What's his name? Hers?
Her name is Winnie,
Winnie
short
the
for
Aussie
Winifred.
Doodle?
She sounds like a little frou-frou dog, and that's what I intended her to be.
Australian Shepherds are not small.
Well,
and neither
she's
are
supposed to
Doodles.
be small, but she's not. But my parents have decided that she's a hunting dog.
Oh.
So she likes to get muddy and chase animals and kill things.
No, I maybe would go with a iguana or something. They're just chill, they're relaxed, they lay over there, they look cool. If they get out, they'll climb on the ceiling and fall on people. It's a pretty cool little creature.
They can
Chop
get-
off their tail, they'll grow a new one. You can do a science experiment.
They can get pretty big, though, can't they? I've seen some in Florida that are just like 2 or 3 feet long.
Well, sometimes older schools do have rodent problems, so it'd be good.
Oh, you just let him roam about and
Just roam
exterminate.
about bugs, rodents.
Remember the snake in Bismarck?
Yes, I do remember the snake got loose.
Tell the snake and Bismarck story.
Well, real quickly, I was dean of students, and we had a science teacher that had 2 big snakes. I'm talking humongous, like, snakes. And he would take them out of their cage thing or aquarium, whatever you call it, and he would feed them like big rats on a table. And when you feed them, they're so lethargic, you can kind of let them be. Well, apparently they weren't as lethargic as he thought, and when he came back, they both disappeared. And one of them came down from a ceiling. You're talking about an albino python and a boa constrictor, and of course, people were calling their parents because there was other teachers that were afraid of snakes. We didn't know where they were. And I'm dean of students, so I'm calling animal control. I'm sitting there trying to find this enormous snake, and it's not like I love snakes. I'm looking in cabinets, scared to death.
Animal control in Bismarck. What are you?
Yeah.
I grew up there. When did they
Hold
get
on,
that?
boy. Let me get out there and get my knife and my shotgun.
I don't think it came from Bismarck. I think it was like in Arkadelphia or Hot
I was
Springs.
gonna say I was mowing the yard at my parents' house and I accidentally dialed 911. In 30 minutes, no one came.
Yeah, well, that sounds about right. Yeah. Oh, well, it took them about an hour and a half to get there and find the thing.
Okay,
so
fair.
We were all,
Okay.
so that's just, if
What
you're
is
a
your
biology
pet,
teacher,
Franklin?
Well, hold on. Side note. I'm really intrigued by people who keep big snakes. Because why would you keep a pet that could literally eat you or your family members? Like, that just seems... you hear on the news every now and then, somebody's like, well, that was a tragedy. They had this baby, and then this big snake in a cage, and all of a sudden, they couldn't find the everybody's so sad. I'm like, did you not realize that that's a carnivorous snake? Sorry, baby, but that's stupid. You kind of deserve to have your baby eaten.
Your baby.
I'm kidding. I just wanted to see what your reaction would be when I said that. You kind of deserve to have your baby eaten if you keep a big snake in the house. You kind of hate your baby, is what I'm saying. You monsters. I'm joking. I don't know. What would be the most ridiculous thing we could get away with in school?
I would like an ant farm. That's a lesson on teamwork, team building. They can construct things very quickly. It's all about cooperative group work. And I don't have to mess with them.
I want to gaslight
feed 'em?
students into thinking that there's a class pet when there's not. That's what I want to do.
An imaginary class pet.
Yeah. Don't you see it? It's right there.
Something that we could feed 7th graders to. Just keep it like chained to the wall and a little hungry and mad.
It's like the Hunger Games. 7th grade has to offer us
All right,
tribute
you little fat.
each year.
You're gonna act like a fool in 7th grade. You're gonna come see Mr. Franklin. See what you do now. Okay, sit next to the bear. I don't know, something dastardly. I'm near the end of my career. I really don't care at this point. Give me something.
You know how much
dangerous.
editing I'm gonna have to do on this podcast to keep our jobs safe?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I do kind of like your iguana answer though.
It's a cool creature.
Yeah. Chill.
Chill.
I kind of either chill or like dangerous. I don't know which of the two.
I want something I don't have to take care of. So that's...
Yeah, that's true. All right, come on up.
Hello, my name is Harper Pullen, and my question is, what is your biggest pet peeve as a teacher?
After I just gave the instructions,
Oh my
and you're
gosh.
going to ask again.
The focus of this generation. So what you need to know for the wall person is, I don't know, movie producer. Hey, what do we need to know?
Yeah.
Movie producer. Hey, what do we need to know for the wall person? Mother. Sometimes I just go, class, can you tell the person that missed it the first 3 times? And I'm pretty blatant. I point to it. If I forget, I get it. But that is a pet peeve, yes. And I've never had that until just literally the last 5 or 6 years where I say it, and it ain't 3 seconds. Somebody, what do we need to know? Oh, where did you go? I thought you were in the room with the rest of us.
Repeating myself over and over and over and over again.
That's a lot of overs.
That's a lot of overs. There's a lot of pent-up frustration. But I still love you all.
I would say if somebody has missed class for whatever reason, and they come back and they say, did I miss anything important? And I would be like,
That's a good one.
it's all important, or I wouldn't be talking about it. Don't ask me that. And besides that, I post instructions every single freaking week online, and all you got to do is go and look and see. I'm gone on Wednesday. Gee, I wonder what's going on. Is there any way possible that I could tell in the word, pray to whatever deity that you're familiar with and say, I wonder if it'll just come to me. No, it's easily accessible. It's been that way for years. Stop asking me if you missed something. Yes, you damn did.
Yeah.
Who asked this question? Did he ask this question? We need to give him extra points because this is a little therapy for all of us up here. Finally, someone asked the question, what frustrates a teacher? Finally.
I'm not going to say that out loud to a student, but it's always in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't say the stuff we think.
Yeah, that's the same thing as, did we do anything? No, the entire class stopped because you were absent.
We sang songs and ate candy until we puked.
So we're not supposed to say those things we're thinking? Because I kind of do.
Well, that's why this is called History After Hours. Now you know. Yeah, we can't say it in school, but we can say it up here.
They're never going to say another word in our class again.
And that gets on our nerves too.
Let it go. Don't ask again.
You
He's
don't
gonna
know
blow.
You don't know how he feels. Shut up.
If you hear me yelling, something has went off the rails. If you ever hear me yell.
Like I've known you for like what, a decade or so now. Like I don't think I've ever heard you raise your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. My early years, I was a coach, and I realized yelling means that student won.
Yep.
And my competitive nature will not allow me to yell anymore because I can't allow the student to win. Like I was saying this earlier, a student will go, "Do I have to take the test?" No. Or, "Do I have to turn this in?" No. You do you, boo. Now, you might get a 0, and I can't help that, but you can do whatever you want. I can't make you do it. Once I got to that point in my career where I just let it go, that helped a lot. But.
Okay, I'm going to throw another one just because I'm on a roll now. Hey, I know that you assigned this 8 months ago, and I didn't turn it in then, but I was wondering if I could still turn it in now.
And could you grade it by the end of the day? Because my parents are mad at me.
You finished my sentence, yeah. And could you hurry up and grade it?
But I'm going to get grounded. I had that happen. It was like a essay, and it was a month and a half. I mean, we're nearly at the end of the year. Student was going to get grounded. Can I make it up, and can you give me a grade before the end of the day? Now, I went, I'll try. And then I went in to the other room, and I yelled. No. You don't see me cry or yell for a reason. I go to the other room. No. Okay. Sorry. That was great.
Okay.
That was great.
Yeah. So that's
And we should have that asked every. We'll think of some more.
We'll make you a list. All right, go.
I'm River Cook. Do you think there will be any changes to gun rights in the near future? And just like, what are y'all's thoughts on that?
Not until the politics change.
Yeah.
It's just one side or the other, and no one's giving an inch.
Is this? Where's the question coming? What makes you ask that? I'm curious. Like, have you heard of that? Okay.
I'm explaining for him because he was in my RTI repeatedly asking my thoughts on gun rights, and I just was choosing to ignore him. And I was like, that you can just ask it at the podcast. And I was like, instead of asking our opinions on gun rights, ask if we thought that any time in the future the Second Amendment would ever be removed.
Oh, I don't think so.
I don't think so. And I'm a gun owner. I'm a Second Amendment advocate. I think we should own guns. I think you should practice responsible gun ownership. You should be okay with going through somewhat of a training process, at least to own a firearm and be able to store it safely and know how to handle firearms. I think sometimes, we want rights. And we deserve these rights, but we do not want the responsibility that comes with these rights at times. And sometimes I think that's where we have gotten to with something like the Second Amendment. It's interesting. You see the recent court case where the mother was convicted for, and my wife and I have been talking about this a lot.
What do you think about that one?
Can you give a summary again?
Clarify for people that don't know.
I can't remember the exact school shooting it was, but a young man committed a school shooting. They have prosecuted both parents have gone to trial. The mother has been prosecuted and convicted for manslaughter, I think, because they didn't. I guess the decision was basically they didn't do enough to keep that gun out of the child's hand. He was found to have some mental issues, obviously. But, the day he committed to the school shooting, and this was, my wife asked this question, why isn't the school responsible for some of these things on trial as well? Because the teacher sent him to the office basically because he wrote some things that were very disturbing. The counselor talked to him. The principal talked to him. The parents came in and talked to him. And they sent them back to class.
Well, the answer to that part's easy, the 11th Amendment. The 11th Amendment says that the government is immune in those cases, as long as they're acting appropriately in their sphere of influence. I can tell you where the Second Amendment is going. The Second Amendment is going through tests of different states doing different things. We know from D.C. versus Heller and City of Chicago versus McDonald, where the court ruled that it was an individual right. It was incorporated through the Bill of Rights, meaning applicable to all the states. And now we're in the process of testing to see what are reasonable restrictions, because some people believe that it is an unlimited right. It's not. Justice Scalia, when he wrote the decision, specifically stated that it was a limited right. There's no unlimited right in the Constitution. So there will be regulations. Whether they will be upheld or not is where we're at.
Not everybody can own their own tank and nuclear weapon. There's a limit somewhere. Now, the funniest thing that happened with gun rights was when Trump was president and he tried to do a bipartisan thing. And I don't know if y'all remember this. And they were talking about school shootings. Pelosi was in there, and Chuck Schumer, Mike Pence, Trump, both sides. And then Trump just blurted out, "Well, perhaps we should take the guns." And Pence was like, "No. Don't you even worry about it. We got it. He actually said the thing that, of course, would scare Republicans. But, the thing I wish we could do is pass the stuff that most people agree with, the common sense gun rights, that if you look at polls, most people want background checks. They want mental health inspection, to check for mental health issues. They want at least some in certain states. And of course, this varies from state to state. Some states, it's the Wild West. So, and then some states are much more controlled. So to have a national policy, that might be way more tricky anytime soon.
The thing with the kid and the mom that you just talked about, that she was convicted she's partly responsible for what he did. Part of that goes back to the fact that they knew that he was going through some things, but didn't get him help or didn't seek help, but also then bought him that firearm, took him and showed him how to use that firearm, and then and didn't report to the school that he had access to a firearm, even though they brought him in that day to talk about this whole thing, and they refused to take him home. The school, I wanted him to go home that day, right? And they were like, "No, he's fine." And then he had the gun in his backpack. So, I don't know I'm not sure how the jury was like. I guess it's cumulatively that they decided that based on all of that she should have intervened somehow.
One of the jurists said stuck out to them was he was caught searching for ammunition at school, which is against a lot of schools' policy, and the mother's reply to that on a text message was, "I am not mad at you. You just have to learn not to get caught. LOL." And so that's, you're looking at a kid that had serious mental health issues. Are you so disengaged as a parent that you don't recognize things? And are you just trying to make your kid feel better? When I blew out my knee in high school, my mom bought me a Sega to make me feel better, not a 9mm. That's what you do. And again, I'm a gun guy, but it annoys me that I call it the Sonic gun guy. I went to Sonic one day on Central. I'm sitting there. These two guys get out of their Carolina squat pickup truck, the real annoying one you see. And they get out and they strap a rifle on their back and they have a pistol on their hip and they go up to the little button in the middle and order a thing. It's because they want everybody to see that they have a gun. And they're so cool because they have a gun. And, if I go somewhere, I'm carrying my pistol. I went through the licensure, went through the training and all that, but I don't.
You packing heat right now?
No, I'm not. I'm not sure of the collective policy.
Everywhere I go. Allegedly.
I'll edit that too.
Yeah, I was about to say, you better just have a list.
This podcast might get aired, so let's scrap this one.
This is one of those issues where we have lost all common sense at times.
Yes.
Common sense would be handy.
How did they know he was searching for ammunition? Is his backpack out? Where are my bullets? I could have swore. Mom, did you pack my... Okay, sorry.
We see everything you do on your Chromebook. We just do not respond to it.
Okay, next question. Yep.
Hi, I'm Miles Macon, and if you could go back in time and witness any historical event, which one would you choose and why?
Is it really bleak if I say I want to see them try to kill Rasputin over and over?
That's a good answer, man.
Okay, I've thought about this way too much. This is how I get to sleep at night thinking about this. So,
you serious?
Yes. So first of all, you got to have a protective bubble. You don't want to breathe that air. Who knows what diseases are floating around? And you got to be invisible because they'll get shocked. You'll change history. But, technically you can't change history because it would have already, never mind. Anytime you watch a time travel movie that changes history, it's wrong. So, anyhow, but going back, if you could do all of that, I wouldn't mind being like at some of the pinnacle moments in American history since I'm American, like the Declaration of Independence, when they actually voted, went around the room, and they knew they were all going to die, basically. Like but we're going to do it anyway. So it's some of those big moments. But I would want to be such a fly on the wall because I don't want to get some cholera or something, from back in the day. But yeah, it's there are moments, but what I think we do as historians, we squeeze everything together. So some of these moments last for weeks or months. You think about somebody marching on Rome or something. Like these things last years. So you want to pick events that are, in a day. The seminal, the stabbing of Caesar. It is that one moment and then get out of there.
This is going to sound bizarre. Not that I would want to actually be in the middle of it, but if I could see it, like you said, kind of in like this bubble or whatever where you were projected from, I'd kind of like to see the Hiroshima bomb go off.
Rasputin's not so dark now.
Not from like the toll it takes on the people, but the force of the explosion itself. There's grainy video or whatever, and you hear the magnitude of it. I think it would be interesting to see, if we could do it somewhere else. Maybe that city was not the best choice of answer, but to see a detonation
like Trinity?
Up close where I wouldn't get hurt, but just what is it? Yeah, experience that. It would be weird, yeah.
My mother grew up in New Mexico, and I remember my grandparents.
Oh, they didn't saw something then.
Yeah? My grandparents did because grew up 20 minutes from White Sands National Park. Yeah. And so people
it was like a tourist thing there for a while.
It was a tourist thing, yeah. It was a pretty neat deal for them, I guess, if you like nuclear holocaust.
No, I was just curious. Explosions are interesting.
Diedrich, you want to go to the 80s or something?
No, I've been sitting here thinking about it because I feel like all of your answers
I could go see Michael Jackson.
Very different than mine, but my answer was going to be just to be like standing in Times Square when World War II ended. To like experience the excitement.
Yeah, what if you were standing in that famous picture of the kiss? Yeah. Like you actually saw, it's like, hey, that's going to be iconic. Good job.
Oh, but
unless you're in Virginia.
Culture, have you seen that lately? That picture almost got canceled, literally.
Why? Because dude didn't know her?
Because it was non-consensual in
It was the director of the VA affairs in Pennsylvania or somewhere out east. And she sent out a memo, said this does not adhere to our policy on harassment, sexual harassment. I demand this to be taken down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just happened like this week, I think.
The federal director of the VA said, ignore her memo.
World War II was non-consensual as well. We're forced into that.
Going back to my Hiroshima thing, yeah.
Do we get to take anything with us when we do this? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If I could.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
What are you taking with you?
Okay.
I'm taking over.
Well, we like our guns and we like our religion in the South. So, no, I know this. I would like to take a Bible and go see Jesus and say, okay, what's right, what's wrong? Tell us what to do. This will help us out in a lot of ways going up. And I say that half jokingly, but
or even if you just stand there and go. Follow along with the script and see if he's actually saying what they've got written in the book.
Wait
a minute.
Yes, you said that. Okay, you said that. Oh, no, that's it. Okay. Tear that out. Scratch that out.
First of all, it's not English.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. You can't read English.
Can you speak in Old English for me?
Dude, please.
But I was raised Catholic and then Baptist and all that good conversion stuff later. But Bibles are different depending on what Christian faith you are, and religion has been so interwoven into our development as a society. Whatever religion, it would be interesting to visit a religious figure and say, what do we get right, what do we get wrong?
Yeah, that's interesting. And based on your gun stuff a while ago, I really thought you were going to say like gunfight at the OK Corral or something.
Yeah, I mean, you could take over with a nice, pick a year 200 years ago and take your weapons.
Sit there in the box with Lincoln.
Oh yeah, protecting. Not today, Booth. Not today.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
I'm Spencer Kelly, and this question will be highly subjected to your opinion and perspective. Was King John really that bad?
King John was so bad that there has never been another dude named John who took the name. That's why he doesn't have a number. Like you go, John the First. There's not a John the Second. Because all of them were like, that bastard was so bad, we cannot associate ourselves with that guy. Having not been there.
But if you could.
Everything I've read about the guy says that everybody except his closest allies, I'm not going to say friends, his allies, everybody hated him. He's the guy that they forced to sign the Magna Carta. He's the guy that was giving away parts of France when the barons of England were like, what are you doing? He's a terrible guy. Greedy, mean, mad at his brother, pays to keep his brother in prison. They're like, dude, we got your brother. You got to send us money to get him out. And he's like, here's some money. Keep his ass in jail. Because as long as he's gone, I'm in charge. So, yeah, I mean, everything I've read says he's a bad dude, yeah.
What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah, he's awful.
Well, incompetent, for sure, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's people that were more evil.
Oh, yeah.
You take the good with the bad. He's Ivan the Terrible, Caligula.
I don't think
There's
he's the
leaders.
I don't think he's the most evil dude, yeah.
What's interesting about the Magna Carta? I just learned that it was signed, it was limited the king, no more divine right, and then it was ignored for 300 and something years until Ben Franklin brings it back as a justification for independence. It's really interesting how it's a huge thing, but it was forgotten in history.
It really just applied to him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like Henry VIII was basically an absolute
that's what I was
ruler.
gonna
I
say.
mean, there's so many examples of that after King John. So, but then it came back in a big way.
But I will say that there's always that council of nobles then who they have to check in with, which becomes Parliament.
Yep.
But you can control Parliament. Yeah, so, yeah, John. No.
What about you two?
Yeah.
Not a fan.
But did John do any good?
He died.
No, I mean, yeah, I think the good is he was so bad that it helped bring power to Parliament and the nobles and
There
limited
you
the
go.
king.
Yeah.
So in a way, we
Democratization.
needed King John.
Do you think that King John's life shaped the way he became?
I think that's true for everyone.
Yeah.
I do. Who knows what he had to go through? Imagine being born to that position.
Imagine growing up in Richard's shadow.
With Richard. Yeah.
Even their parents were like, we love him more than you. So you just be quiet, stand over there in the cold and the dark. So maybe that had some sort of impact on his psyche and his and maybe his ruthlessness later on, because he's like, I'll show you.
What do you think was John's biggest mistake?
I don't know. I don't know.
England is a fief.
Yeah, probably
England is a
the getting into it with the Pope, Innocent III, and having to sign over England as a fief to that dude. But yeah, so that's a gigantic mistake, which was part of the impetus about the Magna Carta to begin with. Okay, what time? Okay,
All right, we got
thank
three
you.
more questions, so we got to go
right,
quickly.
jump in.
Down.
Speed
Thank you
round.
very much.
Okay, my name is Leah. I have two questions, but they're quick. Okay. What do you? Taylor Swift posted on her story like 2 or 3 days ago when Tennessee was having like their like elections like for the president nominees or whatever, and she was like, "Go vote, go change the history or whatever. Keep him out of keep like Trump out of office, obviously." Like, do you think she's actually gonna have like a real sway on the election if she keeps doing stuff like that?
Okay, I missed this. Did she actually do that?
Yeah,
Taylor
she
Swift
actually-
voted to.
Like she
Or
like
said-
posted on her stories like, hey, everybody in Tennessee or whatever state it was, they were having like a whatever. They were like, she was like, go vote, go change the narrative or whatever. Don't let him be back in office.
I mean, if any one person could do it, I think she commands quite the following that maybe instead of not voting at all, that might encourage people to vote. I don't know of anyone else celebrity-wise that has that,
Yeah, she has enough influence to especially influence young voters. And you look at what Obama did with young voters, and she would, he is able to capture that portion of them. And you look at someone like her, people are they hinge on.
Is there another celebrity that has that kind of sway right now, perhaps?
Not now, but we've had it before. I mean, Oprah was 2008,
Oprah,
and so.
Well, so will it change? Is that what you're asking? Will her statements have an impact on the election coming up? I mean, maybe. Well, it depends on how much more she continues to.
Still a binary choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's Groundhog Day.
I just heard a Nikki Haley supporter. They said, why do you support Nikki Haley and not Trump? Did you vote for Trump previously? And she goes, yes, but Trump's a lunatic and he's a liar, so I want to vote for Nikki Haley. Then she dropped out, and then she goes, I guess I'll vote for Trump. So it's like, it doesn't matter what, it's, if you get this side or this side. And we've demonized each side so much that I don't know. It's the ones in the middle. You know, there's the hardcore 30 on this side, hardcore 30% on this side. It's just that 10% in the middle. So somebody like Taylor Swift just getting a few more votes for one side.
She could tilt it, yeah. I mean, who knows?
The general election.
What was your second question?
My second question is what is your favorite like alternate history like thought? Like if you're just sitting there thinking like going to sleep at night, what is your favorite alternate history thought experiment?
Have you ever seen the show Man in the High Castle or read the book on Amazon? Great book. The Nazis developed the bomb first and dropped it on Washington, D.C. And it runs with it's a little sci-fi thing, but it runs with it, and it's the Nazification of America. The Japanese gets the West to the Rockies, to the East is Nazi, the United Nazi States of America, and it's a cool show. I love alternate history, but that's my favorite one. What would happen? Would that have happened that way?
I think the most influential counterfactual or alternate history is if the Chinese had discovered America and populated it. Because they were on the verge to do it, and then the emperor pulled it back for isolation, which allowed Columbus to do it. Imagine if the Chinese had done it 100 years earlier and started populating North and South America. That is a world history influencer more than just about anything I can think of.
What if, thinking about the Columbus aspect, like what if he landed instead of in the Bahamas where he actually met the Taino people who were very peaceful and cooperative. What if he had met instead a warrior type tribe who then killed and ate them and they never returned to Spain?
But the Europeans were exploring, so somebody would have.
Yeah, they were going around Africa. Nobody was coming this direction necessarily. I mean, it was a matter of time. I think you're right.
Probably.
Yeah,
Same century, somebody.
Yeah.
Mine is had JFK not been assassinated, what would have changed?
Oh boy, yeah, that's a good one too.
I think about that one too.
By the way, Lincoln on the same. If Lincoln had not been assassinated, I think things obviously could have been better. But we might not have got those amendments because I don't think he would have pushed as hard for the 14th and 15th. So it actually maybe for the good, even though maybe not. It's hard, you know. This is what we do as history teachers, so this is fun.
What if?
Watch shows on Amazon.
I'm Teddy Headley, and if you could play like one song in your classroom, like no repercussions, what would it be?
With no percussion? Oh, I was about to do an a cappella song. Well, I mean, I don't know what type of music you think we listen to. I don't know.
I figured you would.
Oh man, I don't want to.
I mean, we should.
I don't want to say it because I don't want them to go out and Google it, and then I just get destroyed as a human being.
Yeah.
Say it.
Okay. Should I say?
So.
Yeah,
Has anyone ever heard of Two Live Crew?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Just a shock. We think music is bad today, and because parents and teachers say, "Oh, the music kids listen to today is just terrible." Watch this. Listen to this. No, it's not that bad.
At the very first of school, when people are getting there and they're sleepy, there's two intros we should play. It's the intro to a Korn song called "Blind." Or are you ready? Okay, that one. Or the Disturbed. And I think we'd be more productive. I really do. Just 15 seconds of each. If you don't know those songs, great intros. Can you feel that?
Weird way to start school, man.
I think that's the way to start. Firing me up right now thinking about it. All right. Last question.
My name's Dana Montgomery, and my question is, what are your thoughts on the state of the Republican Party?
They're confused. Are we going to go new school or old school? So, I think it's the issue they've had for the last several years.
Transformational from when I was your age. It was the era of Reagan. He was president when actually the year I graduated high school, he gave the tear down the wall speech. So when you have those people, and if they were to look at what has transpired since that time, I think they would be really shocked to see what's taking place.
It's kind of like what we talked about in Gov. Is it a realigning election or is it not? Some people thought 2016 was, and then 2020 sort of restored some sense of normality. But if 2024 is going to go back, then maybe it is a realigning election. Maybe the GOP of Reagan and H.W. Bush doesn't exist anymore. I don't know, and if they don't, I don't know where they go. So
Yeah, right now one person controls the party. You know, it's the party of toe the line or we're going to bully you, and which is always been kind of the case, but now it's out front and open and it's in your face and the media today, and
which is interesting because he lost. He lost in 2020. He lost Congress in 2022. I mean, lose, still support.
I hate
it's
losers.
Interesting.
I hate losers.
It's not
I
his
hate
fault.
losers.
What bothers me most is the purge-mindedness that we're seeing. You know, like you were saying, either get in line or get out. I mean, there was the commentary just a day or so ago. Like we're going to see that the moderates are ousted. Like that's nearly a quote directly, and so that's worrisome, right? So I mean, we'll see where it goes from here. Maybe some cooler heads will prevail, and we'll try to rein in that madness. But it has the potential to go in the other direction, dude.
And Republicans are vastly outnumbered already. So getting rid of people it does not bode well for them in the future. If there wasn't the Electoral College, remember, Trump has not won a popular vote yet. He lost in 2016, lost in 2020 by millions and millions of votes. The only reason he became president was the Electoral College system. So
that's your opinion.
Oh, sorry.
Republicans have only won the popular vote once since 2000. Once since 2000.
Wow. So they're just hanging on.
Yes, because Gore won the popular vote in 2000.
Right. Yeah.
W won it in 2004. And then Trump lost it in 2016.
Wow. You know, the spirit of the Republican Party that a lot of people yearn for, I think, is remember the John McCain response to the lady that said, Obama is his? He goes, no, ma'am, she is not. We disagree, but he's a good man. But we disagree on how the direction of the country should be. And that's what I think a lot of people are missing, but we are so far away from
that.
And that's
yes.
Maybe that's a little nostalgia.
Thank you, Collective Coffee.
All right.
Goodbye.